Good morning. Welcome back to Farming Simulator 25, Remote Off-Grid Homestead Series. And it's June now. Today I did some real loading small square bales of hay into a truck. I'm going to put up a short about that a little bit later today. I got 30 bales for free from a restaurant that set them up as a fall display in their outdoor dining area. And well, spring has come. Now they want to get rid of these old soggy bales of straw. So I got them. I'm going to use them under my pigs to help alleviate some of the mud problems, and then the rest is going to be used for mulching my potatoes. Since they've been sitting outside in the rain, in the snow all winter, they're not suitable for indoor bedding. But, to cover up, but to stiffen up the mud in the pig pen where they keep digging holes and the holes keep getting filled with water, should work just fine. And of course, as mulch over my sandy soil to keep moisture in until the crops germinate. Should work fine for that too. I think I'll probably use some of it for the rescue, although technically the rescue isn't mine. It's my mother's. We're on the same property, so because her primary horse pasture needs to be reseeded, and since it's on top of the hill, it's even worse about dry sandy soil than my garden areas are. So I might, broadcast seed the pasture and then spread the old moldy straw over it as mulch. I dug into a few of the bales, and it's not the dangerous type of mold, it's the actual beneficial type of mold. Well, beneficial to plant life anyway, not so much beneficial to animal life. Okay. As usual, got a cat up here trying to help me play by headbutting my hand. He fails to understand why I don't necessarily find that to be too terribly helpful. I found a new mod on ModHub I installed today as well. It's for an army jeep. I'm not sure it'll make it into this series, but thought it was cool and could be handy. Essentially, I just use it the way that people generally use, like, side-by-sides. You know, they're not meant to go out on the road, but they're awfully handy for running around on the farm with. That said, I do have a side-by-side that I never use. In my case, it's probably just because there's only 10 acres of land here, and um, I'm only allowed to use a relatively small portion of it for my permaculture business, so I really just don't need it. I hate that one that does that. Sometimes I have to, for RP purposes, I always try to get it on the driver's side. But sometimes the game will stick me in a different piece of equipment, so I have to go to the far side to get the game to put me in the right spot, right piece of equipment. Alright, I'll be back when I get to the shop. Alright, here I am at the shop. So let's see how much I get. 7,000. Not bad. Alright, head back to the farm. Alright. Yeah, I'm really liking the look of my farm now. Might need to find somebody to move up here to provide me some help soon. Alright. So let's check the scheme here. Nothing. Okay. Well. Yeah, that did me absolutely nothing. Well, let me double check here. Finances. Yeah, nothing. Well, I guess it goes to show participating in government schemes gets you nothing. Alright. I grab the pickup and run down, take a look at that wheat field. So it looks like I got a very busy day today. Kind of cloudy now, but it's going to stay sunny. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and take care of my greenhouses first. And then once the greenhouses are taken care of, then I will start combining the wheat. Alright, I'll see you at the shop. Alright, here we go. That's 7,000 again. Good. Now I head back to the farm. Alright, here I am at the farm again. Drop off my flatbed. Alright, put the big grain box back on the Unimog. Alright, because once I finish putting the water in the greenhouses, I'm going to go cut that wheat. The first load of wheat is going to go into the silo to be stored for chicken food, and then the rest will go into the windmill to be made into flour. Come on. There it is. Yeah, I'm going to prioritize, the first batch of wheat for chicken food because I'll also be able to make flour from the oats. Let me check, see if there's anything that can be planted this month. I don't think there is. Well, I could plant carrots. Or poplar. But there's no demand for wood chips up here since they're so abundant. And what do I want to plant back there? I think I'll plant green beans in there next year. So I'll just put a cover crop in it for the rest of this year. Alright. So this one I'm going to set to be chili peppers. Yeah, I'm not a very big fan of capsaicin myself. I like it in small amounts. But it seems like so many people nowadays just claim that if their food isn't just absolutely soaked in capsaicin that it has no flavor. When in truth there's just so many other flavors that food can have other than just, spicy capsaicin. And as soon as you add capsaicin to it, it just covers up all the other flavors. Yeah, I'm really hoping that all my greenhouses have had a positive effect on providing fresh produce for Juno. Just a second, I'm being summoned by the wife. Let's close this door before I let all the heat out. I could probably use a bigger water bowser at some point. But I'd rather have one. The next bigger one's a four-wheel wagon style. which I don't want because they're hard to back up. And to go to the even bigger ones, I might need to go to a semi. Let's see what's available, actually. Yeah, 25,000, so... Yeah, I can pull that with either the Unimog or the tractor. This one I would need a semi-truck for. So for the time being, this just might be the best one. Plus this one I can pull with the pickup, giving the pickup more use. So when I start buying land and my farm gets bigger, the pickup will be primarily used just to move me around the farm. Alright. Alright, it's time to get the combine out. yielding 97%. That's not too terribly bad. We'll see how it is once we get over to the other side where we're in the more silty clay. I don't know why this combine surges like that when you put it into reverse. Kind of annoying, but I guess because it's a cheap old combine. Yeah, it's like that over here into the silty clay. My yield's dropping. Go grab the Una mug and unload the combine. Alright, I'll be back once this grain harvesting is done. Alright, finishing up the last of the wheat. There we go. I'll go ahead and auger this into the windmill. Actually too close to the windmill here. Let me back off a little bit. There we go. Let's see. A black cat just jumped on me. Which one are you? It's hard to tell Fat Boy and Walking Wounded apart just by looking at them, since they're both pure black, no white spots whatsoever. Let me see your face. Oh, it's Fat Boy. Alright. No repairs to the header. A little bit of repair to the main combine. Alright. Definitely want to get the header and the throat cleaned out. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna go grab my baler. Can't tell you how shocked I would be if this baler ever got fixed and suddenly started picking up hay and straw from the right side. I should say correct side. Alright, reset the bale counter. Good. Almost forgot to do that. Fortunately, I hadn't ejected the bale yet to trigger the counter. Alright, I'll be back when the baling's done. Alright, coming up on the end of the straw now. There we go. $110 bales. That's pretty good for this wheat field. Of course, I'll get even more probably out of the oats here in the center. No bales from sunflowers. I'm going to need this baler again fairly soon, so I'm not going to give it a full servicing right at this moment. Take the pallet straps off the trailer so that I can load bales on it. I guess I need some grease in one of the wheel bearings. Alright, so this works pretty much just like a auto stacker, where you put it into operating position. Now, when I was young, bale trailers were auto-loading. Of course, the auto-loader was two teenage boys usually, but for the old man driving the tractor, it was an auto-loading trailer. That's how TV remotes used to work too. If you were lucky, if you were the TV remote, your parents already knew which channel they wanted to watch, which usually wasn't too hard since there was only a few channels back then. But, you know, sometimes you would have to stand there and, you know, turn the dial slowly to go through the channels until they found something they wanted to watch. Especially in the rural areas, TV Guide wasn't always accurate about what was on TV. Yeah, where I grew up, you know, there was no local TV stations, but there's a few towns around, a few mid-sized towns around us that did have radio state TV stations. So if you got the Kalamazoo TV Guide, you know, it would have the Kalamazoo TV stations in it, but it wouldn't have the South Bend TV stations. And sometimes it wouldn't even have the Grand Rapids TV stations either. And on some nights when the atmospheric conditions were just right, you could get a TV station out of Chicago as it bounced across the lake. Yeah, my grandparents used to have this great big tower that went up beside their house that had a huge antenna on top. Because the rabbit ears, they could pick up, you know, basically the closest stations, but that was about it. That's where the big antenna on top of the tower, and then it had a motor on it, so you'd turn this dial to turn the antenna. You could pick up anything within, I would say, about 60 miles or so. So we were able to get South Bend, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, and like I said, occasionally we'd get Chicago. Alright. There we go. Oops. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut, ted, windrow, and bale this, and then I'll be back at the end of the baling to count how many bales we got. Alright, picking up the last of the hay now. There's one little tuft of it right there to still pick up. Alright. So, I went with the fertilizer treatment. I went from 54 bales to 60 bales. That is about 12% difference. In terms of just the materials, it probably is worth it. I'm not sure it's worth it in terms of materials and time. So John Deere always needs work since it's so old. I wish Farming Simulator had a system to rebuild old equipment. That, and it's not really completely true that old equipment requires more labor. My tractor is a Ford 9N. He sent for me between 1939 and 1941. In the last 3 years, I've done exactly one repair to it. So since I have precision farming installed though, I think the only reason why to keep up with doing the fertilizer and stuff is to keep my environmental score higher, because that gives me a bonus on everything, not just the hay. So that's why I'm going to go with. I'm going to go ahead and refertilize it just to keep my environmental score higher. Although technically, spreading chemical fertilizer should reduce my environmental score, not improve it. Alright, I'll be back here again shortly. Alright, I'm going to go ahead. It's 4:30, so I should have just enough time to get this done today. I'm going to go ahead and plant oilseed radish. Alright, and once this is done, I'll be back to end the episode. Alright, this is the last of the oilseed radish to be planted. Go up and empty out the seed drill and Yeah, today was a very busy day. It's great. There we go. Looks like I need some diesel here in the tractor again. Alright, before I forget, I need to order some more. I probably got enough seed, but I'll get one more bag of seed too, just to make sure. But I definitely need more fertilizer. I gotta order it today, so it'll be there to pick up tomorrow. Although technically, I guess in food terms, it'd be next week. Where is... There's the seeds. Alright. Alright, so this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching.